is the Star Wars The Black Series 3.75-inch figures, Yoda and Luke Skywalker in Dagobah training. Both figures are part of the 3.75-inch Black Series, figures numbers 21 and 22. I think they're part of Wave 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it fell. Well, I tried to pose it as long as I could, but the figures can be posed in that Dagobah training scene, but I don't think you can sustain it on a shelf without any support. I've been trying to do so for the longest time, but it's just been very difficult. And I think that was one of the aims of these figures, to really try and recreate that whole Dagobah training scene, various scenes from that episode 5, where Luke goes back to Dagobah to continue his training with Yoda. And here are the packaging, the boxes, just the basic Black Series figures. Now I'm doing them together because really there's no point in getting one or the other separately. You have to get them at the same time. Well, not exactly at the same time in one store, but I mean, if you're planning on getting the Luke, you have to get the Yoda. If you want to get the Yoda, you have to get the Luke, simply because these two were meant to be together for these two were made for that purpose, the Dagobah scene. Anyway, what am I saying? So as you can see, it was possible to pose them that way. The figures do come with several accessories. Let's start with the Yoda. Well, no, let's start with Luke, since he's got more accessories. Here is the figure. It's a great. I was going to say it's a huge step forward in the right direction for Star Wars figures, but it looks like it's a big leap forward. In the correct direction for Star Wars figures. It has its flaws. We'll talk about that later, but in itself, the effort that Hasbro has put into this figure is just tremendous, and I really commend them. All right, he comes with another pair of hands. These two hands were meant to, if you were going to pose the figure using the Force. What you're doing, what you're asking, is impossible. Only in your mind. I love that scene. I mean, episode 5, I mean, I hated the fact that they lost. When I was a kid, my dad was trying to explain to me that episode 5 they lost, and episode 6 they come back victorious. I never liked the fact that as a kid, Darth Vader is my father. No, how can that be? That's impossible. He told me enough. Obi-Wan said, you killed him. No, Luke. No. I am your father. No, that's impossible. I could never get over that scene. Anyway. So two pairs of, sorry. God. Two pairs of interchangeable hands. These are for when he needs to grip something, like he also comes with his lightsaber. The lightsaber comes bent because of the way the holes are positioned. Hole is there, and then it's stuck to his hand a little bit right here. Not on his hand, but near his hand. There are two holes, and then the figure is just a little bit too. The clearance isn't all there. At least on my figure, the lightsaber was a little bit bent. The hot water, the boiling water, tap water, boiling water, room temp, or cold water treatment will do the job for you. So now his lightsaber is straight. Okay. He also comes with an unignited lightsaber, but this one comes with a peg. I don't know why they put the peg in it, since the pistol belt has a hook. This should have been the lightsaber they should have molded a sort of a hook on it, so you could hook the lightsaber onto his belt. But you can't. You just have to do this and like super glue it somehow. I mean, really, Hasbro. Fail right there. I knew what they were trying to do. I think last minute they had to change this, or last minute they changed this, whatever. He also comes with his blaster pistol. This is his trademark. signature blaster pistol. Let me just stand him up. Great detail on it as well. I'm glad they painted it. The only problem I have with this blaster pistol is it does not fit in the holster at all. Well, a little bit. The holster is really tight. I mean, it's so tight. You gotta keep pushing that pistol in, and it's still not gonna go all the way. That's as good as it gets. I've tried twisting it in and out. It just won't go in. The pistol is just way too long. And the hole is just way too tight for it, and too short. That's just the best I can do with it. So yeah, probably have that pose like him holding it. So those are the accessories of Luke. Let me just put them all here. Okay, onto the figure itself. Paint apps, they're great. I like the wash that they put on the pants. It gives it that Dagobah feel, that dirty feel to it. Even his sweat, you can see it right there. It's like sweaty look. The only thing you need to look out for, I mean, the silver on his belt, yeah, okay, fine, that's good. But if you're selecting through several Lukes on the pegs, it's the face, the paint on the head sculpt that you should be looking out for. Make sure the eyes are painted well enough; they don't look dorpy or cross-eyed or not. The hair on him has to be painted evenly. In the strands of hair, as you can see, has to be painted well. It doesn't bleed into the flesh plastic. Other than that, paint apps are great. Articulation, he's got a ball jointed neck, just a ball joint. He's got a waist swivel, ball hinge shoulders, bicep swivel. This is the Marvel Universe articulation working on right here, which is great. Double jointed elbows, look at that. And the only thing that sucks about that is that it can be a little bit loose, and it will be very difficult to do that handstand pose because of that. But, you know, it's tight enough that you'll be able to do it for a while once the figure is still fresh. He's got ball jointed hands. I mean, the hands are removable and replaceable, and Hasbro gave us hinges on them. That's big. Normally Hasbro would just scrimp on that, but they did not. So kudos to Hasbro for that. Sorry, the lighting is just putting the video off. He's got a ball hinge hip, ball hinge knees, and ball hinge ankles with rocker joints. My biggest complaint about the articulation of this figure is really the hips. You can do this, but you can't move it forward because the hinge is such at a very perpendicular angle, a very sharp, acute vertical angle that, you know, it's not even diagonal like that. It's close to 20 degrees and not 45 degrees. So for him to be in a seated position, I mean, the knees don't even go that far. They just bend that way because of the sculpt of the pants. For him to be seated, you'll have to do this, a la 1980s Kenner style type of figures. This is the best seated position he's going to be in. I mean, well, I guess if you're doing the Dagobah scenes, you not really want him in seated position. I mean, to do that the squatting lotus position, he can't even do it because of the way the pants have been molded. He cannot bend his knees. So little bit of a letdown on the articulation there, but I think articulation was sacrificed mainly for the sculpt, and yeah, okay, I'm not gonna blame Hasbro too much for that. Size comparison, here he is with the Bespin Luke. See, this is how the belt should have been. This is, I think they got the same, is it the same lightsaber, unignited lightsaber? Yep, looks the same to me. They should have molded a new lightsaber for Luke, and so that it would fit that pistol, and instead they just recycled this one. So clearly it's a different pistol belt. I wish they could have just used the same pistol belt. I mean, I wouldn't have minded that. I mean, that way you could store all the weapons nicely. This one doesn't even stick as much. Sorry. Okay, so there. Which is better? Sculpt wise, I think this looks a lot more like Mark Hamill. But let me see if I can. yeah, they look okay. Both of them look great, but this one just, just really looks like Luke. Even the he looks a little bit chubby because of the uniform. So, there. Okay, we'll get back to Luke in a while. On to Yoda. Yoda is a little bit of a disappointment. I mean, if you look at the vintage, sorry, what am I doing? Focus. So if you look at the vintage collection Yoda in this one, this is a far cry from this one. He's got a plastic, well, no, not plastic. It's cloth, but it's thin compared to this one. This is really the original soft goods cloak, and that's really good. Even the color, he's a little bit paler, fine. Since this is episode 3, he's older here. Head sculpt, this is great, really good head sculpt. But articulation, 5 points of articulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The feet do move up and down, but no wrist, no feet, no waist, nothing, no knees or elbows. Compared to this one. This one is still the definitive Yoda in my opinion. Alright, he doesn't come with a lightsaber. He does come with a cane that he can't even hold, which sucks. I mean, he can barely hold it. Yeah, like that. Or he can't even hold it this way, like during the Dagobah training. I mean, you have to stick it into this robe just so he can hold it, but it kind of sucks that way. He also comes with an amulet, or his necklace, which you can put on like that. Excuse me. Okay. And his belt is removable. So he's got a ton of accessories for a figure, but the figure itself, to me, in my opinion, should only be just an accessory. I mean, it's not, to me, it's not a legitimate figure. What am I saying? At best, it also comes with the backpack. The backpack comes with him, so you can wear it on Luke, and hence, really, you have to get Yoda with Luke. But the figure itself is, I would not consider it an actual legitimate figure because it's so small in itself. Well, Yoda is small, but there's no articulation, barely any articulation. Tons of accessories, and it's very light. I think they should have packed Yoda, in my opinion, this is just me, I think they should have packed Yoda as an accessory to the Luke Skywalker figure. Now, having said that, I mean, that would have been advantageous to the collectors and to the fans, but for Hasbro, that would have exceeded the cost per figure for them. And if I'm the marketing guy for Hasbro, look, we're going to make more money selling them separately, because they're priced individually rather than selling them together. So yeah, I guess it makes more business sense to sell them separately. And there are some people who are just big Yoda fans, and they're just big Yoda fans, and they just don't care about Luke. They just want to get all Yoda. Or some people don't care about Yoda, they just want Luke, and they're gonna do that. It's, you're paying the same amount for this figure and that, and you just get some accessories. I think it's a little bit of a rip-off, but that's the toy business. So anyway, so on to the Luke carrying Yoda. The backpack, let me talk about this backpack for a little bit. It's got some really nice features. I mean, for a very teeny tiny backpack, I mean, I've seen Barbies have accessories, and those are really great, but this is really bordering on Barbie. I mean it in a nice way, because the Barbie accessories are really nice. They're very detailed, and it's just a lot of fun to mess around with. But excuse me, this strap is just not cooperating. Okay, there we go. But this one has this clip. It's like a backpack clip, or a I don't know what you call it. The not a snap-on clip, but like a backpack, or a fastening clip like that. It's easy to take off. You don't have to squeeze your fingernails in it and push like that. You can rip off the two ends easily, rip them apart. But the mere fact that they put something, it's way too big. Definitely, it should have been only this small. But as a play accessory, I thought that was a nice touch. I mean, that effort, a lot of effort points are gonna go to that. I mean, I'm gonna give a lot of effort points for that to Hasbro, because look, they could have easily just done I don't know, like a tying system or just a button system like that, or a hook system with soft rubbery plastic, but they did that. So well done, Hasbro. The bag is a little bit too big in my opinion, I think, but it will serve its purpose. Let me get rid of that cane. It will fit Yoda nice and snug. Good enough. I mean, it's still a little bit big. Could have been a little bit smaller, but you know. And the double jointed elbows are going to come into play right here because they'll allow you to pose Luke carrying the backpack, and again, and carrying Yoda in one of those Dagobah scenes. And because you can't fold his or hinge his legs up, you're left with something like this. If you're gonna have Luke lug Yoda, it's kind of a little bit of an awkward pose, but yeah, and that's the shortcoming of the Luke figure, but it could still work right there. So with that being said, it's a nice set. I mean, if you're a big fan of the whole Dagobah training scene and episode 5, you have to, and you love these figures, you might want to pick these two up together. The Luke itself, I'm going to give, because of the limitations of the articulation, and that whole lightsaber thing, it's still going to get a 9 out of 10 for me, because Hasbro went in the correct direction for Star Wars figures by leaps and bounds. Thank you very much for putting Marvel Legends, Marvel Universe articulation in them. So 9 out of 10 for the Luke figure. The Yoda, because I think it should have been just an accessory to the Luke figure and not really a legitimate action figure on its own. It's illegitimate as it is, as a Yoda figure, but as to be packaged separately, that's just milking money from the collectors. And I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Overall, the whole set, you know, I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's still nice. I mean, you could still go and stick with your original vintage collection figures, but this one, I mean, for younger collectors, I mean, for those who are just trying to catch up on their original trilogy figures, this is a very, very good set. I want to give an 8.5 to a 9, but because the Yoda dragged down the score, I don't want to try and give a half figure. So 8 out of 10 as a whole. That's pretty good. Pretty decent in my opinion. So there you go, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this video review. If you did, please click the thumbs up icon at the bottom. Follow me on Twitter for my toy purchases, Instagram for my toy sightings here in Manila. Check out all my video reviews on this channel, Chefatron. This has been the, let me get rid of the Bespin Luke. This has been the Star Wars 3.75 inch, the Black Series figures number 21, Luke Skywalker, and figure number 22, Yoda. Thanks for watching.